This might be interesting. Aston's Theatre. Here we are.
We are not open to the public yet, gentlemen. Oh, bless my soul. I can hardly believe my eyes. It is the young Sherlock Holmes, isn't it?
Watson, allow me to present Philotomy Kirby, who in his day was one of the last great hopes of the popular stage. He also took great pains to advance my comprehension of the many subtleties of the theatrical arts.
So he can still prattle away. Don't listen to him. This is the most talented student I've ever met, upon my word, as an actor. But those days are past. So, am I speaking to the former actor or the world-renowned detective today?
Tell me, what do you know about the Fairfax Theatre Troupe?
2 months ago, they returned from an international tour. Richards, their director, had managed to secure the necessary funds to buy back Aston's. It seems he had finally resolved his troubles.
He was in some kind of trouble.
It's always the same with those tours abroad. Your star actress marries an emir. Another time the entire troupe has their luggage stolen. Anything is possible, and whatever occurs is usually nothing good. But who would have imagined such a tragedy?
What tragedy?
Their last tour started about 3 years ago. At that time, the troupe was housed at the Fairfax Theatre. But a series of failures forced the owners to sell it at a substantial loss. The owners were 3 individuals: Dwight Richards, their current director, Miss Davenport, their star actress and the mistress of Richards, and lastly, a young actor, costumier and make-up man called Jeffries. They decided, after the sale, to launch an international tour in order to raise funds.
Their success was assured?
Yes, the fame of English theatre is worldwide. During their travels, Jeffries and Miss Davenport developed a close relationship, which was much to the regret of the hot-headed Richards. He is a gypsy by birth. No one can be more possessive and quick-tempered than a gypsy.
Pray continue.
In short, a dark tragedy occurred in a village in Latin America, located not far from the Amazon. One evening, after their performance, someone noticed that Miss Davenport and Jeffries had gone missing. The local authorities were notified, and the alarm was raised.
And Richards?
Richards was implicated in some manner, it seems to me. However, there was no proof of his involvement, and no bodies were ever found.
What a strange case.
If you need more details, you should ask the actors. As you may observe, they are rarely able to hold their tongues.
I will see you later, Kirby.
Yes, it was good seeing you again.
Hello, young man. What are you looking at?
Oh, I'm sorry. You startled me. I'm looking at her. Her. Are you from the press? Of course you are. You must be here to interview her. The play is wonderful, and Miss Caroline will surely shine. If only my father could have seen this day.
your father?
Yes, I am Bruce Aston, and my father was Clyde Aston, the former owner of the theatre. It may have fallen into some disrepair, but during its time it was well loved by so many. A host of young actors debuted on that venerated stage. Why, it was at this very spot where Mr. Richards first met Miss Davenport.
Have you ever heard of the Fairfax Theatre?
It is the theatre which was demolished. It seems to me that it had been owned by Mr. Richards together with Miss Davenport and a friend of theirs. They left on an extended tour, but I think it went badly for them. After his return, Mr. Richards bought the theatre back from the bank, and I do hope his good fortune will continue.
Well, we can hope.
With the talented Miss Caroline, I think anything is possible, and the building is still solid and comfortable. Though the bank took over the theatre, they left the keys. From time to time, I would do what I could to tidy up a bit or see to a broken window.
Are you a part of the troupe?
Yes. When Mr. Richards noticed how I had worked to keep the place up, he hired me. I helped Mr. Kirby a little, and also Mr. Trumpet backstage.
Goodbye, young man.
Goodbye, sir.
Excuse me, may I ask you some questions?
Naturally, I'm listening to you.
You are rehearsing at the moment, aren't you?
Yes, we are in rehearsal for the play we are to perform at the month end. Are you critics or reporters? As you know, we just came back from an extended tour. We were a triumph everywhere we performed.
Tell us about this international tour.
We performed in France, in Switzerland, and even for an Arab prince. We were met with acclaim at every stop. If tragedy had not occurred, we were to appear next in New York. But fate had other plans for us.
What sort of tragedy?
Oh, surely you must have heard about it. All because of those in our company who assumed the right to reveal every distasteful and intimate detail of a most tragic event. Anything to gain publicity for themselves. It is positively scandalous. But even a professional actor such as myself respects the privileges of the press and the public's right to know.
Your sensitivity honours you.
Please, continue your story.
The events took place in a most sordid place in Brazil named Guacamole or Babiamo or something like that. I still can't stop asking myself what we were doing there in the first place. But to be brief, our talented costumier, Mr. Jeffries, had been having a tete-a-tete with the beautiful Miss Davenport. Unfortunately, she was still very much the mistress of our director, Mr. Richards. I tell you, the tension was unbearable.
Really?
In the view of a professional, they were the worst hours of my life. Miss Davenport was spending the whole day closeted in her room. Mr. Jeffries trembled so uncontrollably that he was unable to do our makeup. Mr. Richards stepped in, and I must say, he was a pitiful substitute. May you never be so ill-fortuned as to have your face in his large, hairy hands.
And then?
Our first performance in that town was naturally well received. That very night, a tragedy took place. Mr. Jeffries and Miss Davenport went missing not long after the performance ended. It was impossible to find them. Then we heard that Mr. Richards was arrested on suspicion of murder regarding Miss Davenport and Mr. Jeffries. We were outraged and most indignant. Some entertained thoughts that we would never leave that godforsaken place.
How's the matter resolved?
Fortunately for Mr. Richards and all of us, the prison warden and the local chief of police was an Englishman. Lacking direct evidence or even a corpse, the accusations against Mr. Richards could not stand. He was set free on the spot. I think that had it not been for the intervention of that young expatriate, we might have been stranded in that Amazonian swamp for all eternity.
Well, thank you for your assistance.
That's all right. Don't hesitate to seek my help.
Don't listen to that milquetoast. He gets positively weak in the knees over redheads. A policeman is just a policeman. That's it. If Richards isn't in jail, it's only because he had nothing to do there.
We were talking about the tragedy which occurred during your previous tour, and...
You aren't the press, are you? No. In my opinion, you seem more like policemen. Well, listen closely, inspectors. Miss Davenport was nothing more than an aging woman who adored seeing all the men at her feet.
What? Don't you mean...
She toyed with both Richards and Jeffries like two little puppets. Dwight Richards is quick-tempered, but he wouldn't harm a hair on her head. And if you are eager to be so helpful, please, find my red-haired wig.
we must continue our investigation.
Of course, of course.
Hello, miss. I'm sorry for disturbing you.
Oh, you are welcome.
Are you rehearsing the new play?
Yes, we are hard at work. Excuse me, did I just hear Mr. Kirby calling you Holmes? Is it really possible that you were the great detective, Sherlock Holmes, and you were Dr. Watson?
I'm investigating the facts of the terrible events that occurred during the company's last tour.
Oh, I see. You were interested in that case. It's still a complete mystery, even for those who were there.
Tell us about Miss Davenport.
She was fabulous and positively mesmerised men. She confessed to me that she had been indiscreet with our costumier, Jeffries. She had left Richards before, but she always came back to him. She said he understood her completely without her even saying a word.
Until that last time.
Forgive an admiring expert, but your earring is absolutely magnificent.
Oh, that was a gift from Veronica. She got it along with 2 other matching earrings and a small jewel case. She gave me this one, another to Doris, and kept the most beautiful for herself. Veronica insisted on cleansing it herself weekly with a special cleanser. It was remarkable and kept the earring all sparkling like stars. When I saw her last, Veronica was wearing her earring. She never parted with it.
Where can we find Doris?
She must be in her dressing room.
Goodbye, miss, and thanks.
You're welcome, Mr. Holmes.
Pardon?
Why can people not allow actors their peace and quiet? They walk through here as if it were a common thoroughfare. Nothing strange about that. They still haven't bothered to change the locks. Anyone can enter at will and abuse me. Me, who in the 50s, I was rather good actually. Did you see me? With the best, me. And they just treat me and, oh.
Are you rehearsing?
Everyone has his own technique. Cheers!
Miss Small told you about your earring. Would you mind showing it to us?
It can't be sold. Do you think that actors have no heart? I would prefer dying of thirst than parting with it. My friend, my best friend Veronica, who I love like my own daughter, she gave it to me. My little Veronica. She... Veronica...
Do you know what has happened to your friend?
Left? She left with that Jeffries? Oh, I know what they say. That Richards murdered them both. Why not? He did everything for them. Everything! She was naught but a common flower girl, and that Jeffries was a mere servant. He made them actors. Yes, actors. Yes.
We'd better leave you to your work. I mean,
Out! I need to concentrate.
What chaos! Through the flying dragons of the Virgin Islands, the land of gargantuan man-eating crabs, love in the heart of the Black Desert. This author seems to be particularly inept. Through the
A set of costumes. There are 30 listed.
But I count only 29. Yes, the artillery officer uniform is missing.
Let us see whether we can find other evidence.
Who is it?
Mr. Richards, my name is Sherlock Holmes. You may put away your knife. Rest assured, I am indeed Sherlock Holmes. Thank you for receiving us, Mr. Richards. Would you mind if I asked you a few questions?
I will answer your questions, Mr. Holmes, only because I have heard about you.
Would you tell me about Sir Bromsby?
I will not lie to you, I hated Bromsby. He is the cause of all my troubles, I swear. I have often dreamed of killing Bromsby with my own two hands, but I didn't kill him.
Do you know an Asian named Wang Jie?
What would he be doing there? Well, in the days of the Fairfax Theatre, I once employed a Chinese fellow who went by that name. However, I was forced to dismiss him because he was a great deal of trouble, and I've never seen him since that time.
You retained several keys from the Fairfax Theatre, don't you?
Well, I don't understand the purpose of your questions, but yes, there were indeed 2 keys for the Fairfax Theatre main door. When the bank took possession, we gave only one of them to Bromsby's assistant. When asked, we lied and said there was only 1 key.
But why?
Well, we kept the other one out of spite. We had thoughts of returning in the night and wreaking havoc, but we had no opportunity, as we left for abroad after the transfer to go on our tour. I suppose the key may have been lost somewhere along our travels.
About the disappearance of Miss Davenport.
I don't know why you want to talk about it. Does some vile curiosity cause you to torment me in this way?
Thank you, Mr. Richards.
It is nothing, Mr. Holmes.
I should reveal one of my hints. I should reveal one of my hints.
Oh, this can't be possible. How did you come by this? Dear God, if only someone like yourself had been present that evening.
Please tell us what's happened.
That night, after the performance, I left to stroll alone along the riverbank. The next morning, I had barely returned when I was seized by 2 local policemen and led to a prison cell for interrogation.
Why?
When I got there, an Englishman, the local chief of police, told me that a deserted boat had been discovered along the opposite bank of the river. Inside the boat, I found a star covered with blood. It belonged to Veronica, who had vanished, along with my other partner, Jeffries.
And then what happened?
No one could prove my innocence, but they also found no proof of my complicity in these events, nor had they found any bodies.
Tell us a little more about your partners.
I had met Jeffries while on tour. He was just a young tramp drunkard. Whatever my feelings were then, I feel no pity for him now. He betrayed me. But it wasn't the same with Veronica. I fear the pain caused by these events will forever haunt me.
Thank you, Mr. Richards.
It is nothing, Mr. Holmes.
This man is a wonderful actor.
Maybe, Watson. Maybe.